women knew these facts, there would not be an abortion decision. What about the women that are finding these facts after they've had the abortion? Many are finding out and are suffering from severe depression, guilt, and nightmares of the decision they made without being informed. Who's taking care of that emotional distress that she's having? I know that feeling because I've had 2 abortions. And I was told with the glabella tissue there would be no complications in future pregnancies and no complications in the abortion procedure itself. I suffered from severe infection and bleeding and fever from retained products of conception, baby parts left behind. And there was later on I was told after my 2nd abortion there was a high chance that I could not conceive again. I tried for 5 years to conceive after I met my husband, and I always wondered if possibly I had aborted the only 2 babies that I'd ever give birth to. And it wasn't until I went into ultrasound school and I literally saw an 8-week baby jump on the screen, and I knew that I had destroyed 2 human lives. And that's when the guilt set in for me. That is when the truth literally hit me between the eyes. And I suffered from that guilt, depression for many years. And it wasn't until I forgave myself and I literally asked my babies to forgive me and I asked my God to forgive me that that guilt was removed, and I conceived the first of my 3 children that month. And I cannot bring back my babies, but maybe I can help other women so that when they make their decision, they're prepared and they won't have to go through what I went through. And it's the only surgical procedure where a minor can have an abortion. And the doctor doesn't have to inform, or the mother doesn't have to get this consent from her mother or from the father. Something's wrong. Pro-choice, let's give them the facts. Let's lay your cards out on the table so women are informed so that they can make a choice. I have 2 women, Carla and Cheryl, that saw their ultrasound and was considering abortion but changed their minds. And I'm going to let them tell their story.
When I first met Sherry, I was 9 weeks pregnant. And as you can see now, I'm ready any day now. When I went to Sherry, I was seriously contemplating having an abortion. I was in what you would call a crisis pregnancy because my boyfriend had abandoned me, and I was left to face this alone. I felt like a failure to my parents because, how could I get pregnant? I was in college and everything, how could this happen to me? Well, when I seen Sherry, she scanned me, and at that time I was 9 weeks pregnant. What I seen on the screen was amazing. I seen that the baby was fully developed. It had all of his fingers and toes and arms and legs. It was just a matter of growing. And after I seen it, I was wondering how on earth could I have ever thought about killing my baby? This amazing little life that was inside of me. Through Sherry, I have met a lot of people that were able to help me. I was faced with not knowing how I was going to be able to provide for my baby, being a burden on my family because I had to go back home. Through the Crisis Pregnancy Center, they have helped me financially, mentally, and spiritually. They have helped me with clothes for myself as well as for the baby. They have helped me be able to maintain my home and not be evicted. And just there to talk anytime I need it. I just really thank God for Sherry and ultrasounds, and that there are alternatives for not to have an abortion if you become pregnant, and you do not have to be alone. There is help.
So how has your life changed now since you have your baby?
It's wonderful now. He's a joy. He gives my life a new meaning and purpose because not only is it myself now, it's him. And he's my life.
So now that you've had your baby, you don't regret not having the abortion?
No way. I wouldn't have this. Oh my God, Ryan.
Cheryl, let's go back to when you were 17, and it was the first time you found out you were pregnant. What was the first thing that came into your mind when you found out it was a positive?
I was afraid, scared, and being so young, I didn't know what I was going to do. Still in high school. At first, I was going to keep it. I remember. But I think just by saying it made me believe it. But everybody around me kept telling me, you know, you're not ever going to be able to take care of this baby. You're too young. You're going to have to go on welfare. You're going to be living in the streets. So it scared me away from having the baby. So I had an abortion.
So you went to a clinic?
Yes.
And what kind of information did they give you there?
Nothing.
They didn't offer you information on adoption?
No.
Did they at all question your desire to have an abortion?
No.
Did they explain fetal development or anything to you?
Because if I would have known that, you know, I probably wouldn't have done it. No, I didn't know anything. And being so young makes it worse. You know?
Are you experiencing post-abortion syndrome at all?
I was depressed most of the time. I didn't really care about nobody. I was drinking a lot, staying out late, trying to forget it. But I'd come home and wake up and feel the same way, or I'd wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares. I see it.
What kind of nightmares did you have?
Just having nightmares of blood, tissue, pieces.
Pieces of babies or?
Pieces of babies.
What would you say to a woman if you knew she was watching us, who maybe is pregnant and considering abortion, having gone through it several times? What advice would you give her?
Tell her to look at the ultrasound, see what she's really got inside. There's something in there. It's not a nothing. It's got fingers and feet. It's a baby. That's what I'm talking about. That guilt is so bad. I went through that. And that's what really makes me angry, is the women, even the fathers that are finding out afterwards. What are we going to do with all these people that are finding out the truth now, that are literally in depression? It's not uncommon for me to do ultrasound on women, and after their second pregnancy, after they've aborted 2 or 3, and see the ultrasound like I did, and literally go into shock. I think our world is going to go in shock when they really find out what's been going on in our nation legally. Whether or not you ever have to make an abortion decision, you're going to have to decide where you stand on this issue. Are these babies alive? Are they human?